So, ink this time. Now I'm using Indian ink. I like it because there's a nice flow to it and it is a very pure black, and if we add water to it, it just gives nice tones of greys into your black. You can also use Parker ink, which is beautiful as well, and when you add water to it to move it about, it separates from the black into blues and into oranges, so it's lovely as well. But for today, I'm going to use Indian ink and a cocktail stick as my drawing tool. Now there's paint on this just because I reuse them, okay? So what I'm going to concentrate on this time is, yes, I'd like a wee bit more of the composition in than I had previous in the charcoal, but what I really want to look at is down here. So you can see the lovely folds of the fabric that the vase is sitting on, and also the fruit itself. So I really want to concentrate on things like the fruit and the inside, all of these different segments and the different lines. I'm going to use my cocktail stick to draw with, but also to look at texture and create shading with it using different sorts of marks, whether that is scratching down, whether it's allowing the ink to drip off and then scraping across. We'll just try lots of different things, but I would like to get a little bit more of this and maybe up the handle. So not sure I'm going to put the whole thing in, but I would like to concentrate on this bit. It's always really important in your composition not to have your thing floating, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a still life, matter if it's a portrait, it doesn't matter if it's a landscape. It needs to be in situation somewhere. So this is actually sitting on something and it's casting shadows. The same with a person. If you're painting them, that they are standing, that there is a shadow. Even in a landscape, that your land or your building is not just floating about, but you're really looking at where it is and giving it a wee bit of context. So we're going to look at that now. Right, drawing with a cocktail stick. Simply it is, now be prepared, your hands are going to get dirty, but this washes off. Parker ink, not so easy. Indian ink is absolutely fine. Now, I'm going to start at the bottom this time, and I'm going to think about where my jug is. Now, just the same, a cocktail stick as a pencil or a pen, it's a drawing tool, so I can measure angles with it. Okay, if I close, I'll show you here, if I close this eye and I look out in front of me and I hold my cocktail stick out to find an angle, I can measure that angle to transfer it onto my page, okay? So if I'm holding it out and the angle of the jug is coming down like that, with my arm outstretched, it will also come down at that angle on here. Who says art is just about slapping paint about? It's all about mathematics too. Okay, same on the other side, it's that angle there, that angle there. Okay, so now, getting this in, looking at the bottom now. Bottom of the jug is not straight, it is curved, but it is obstructed a little bit with the folds of the material. So I'm going to get that in here. Okay. Look at how that fold sort of moved around here. So I'm not using the point of the cocktail stick anymore. I am dragging it down. Okay. Now, I'm not going to continue on with the material because there's something here that's sitting. There's the lemon and there's the lime, so I need to get those in. They're sitting slightly in front of the jug. Look at the shape of it. So it's not just an oval, it's mainly an oval, but then there's almost like a little circle sitting here on the end. So again, all you're doing is you're building up a composition of simple shapes that you already know. And yes, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but as you go along, you're refining it continually, you're changing it, and you're making it more accurate. But just start off with a simple version, and then you can work on that. So there's my lemon. I'm going to put in the shadow now. So you can see how I've let more ink drop off. Right in front, then we have our lime. And the lime is a completely different shape to a lemon. It is almost a circle. Right, I'm not used to always talking whilst I'm drawing, but I will try to keep you up to date on what I am thinking and doing as I go along. Now, also, everybody's process is different. But when you are creating, all you're trying to find is your way of translating the thing that is in front of you. Never compare yourself to someone else or try to recreate someone else's work either. It's absolutely impossible and it's ridiculous because you're a completely different person, and what you're trying to do is get your personality into your artwork. I can teach you basic skills and give you little tips, but find a way to create that makes you happy and brings you joy, and that is more successful. Now, going over here, thinking about, I think that line must be about here somewhere, so you can see there's very little ink on, but what I can do is I can draw nicely with that. And there's no rubbers, so you can't rub out, you just have to keep going. Building up line, so that's suddenly a 3D shape. So I'm not just seeing the face of it and seeing the under part of it, but I need to give it a shadow. Now, this is something that I have done with adults, something I have done with very young children, and it's something that I am teaching as part of this high school lesson next week. So it is easy enough for everybody to have a go with, but it's complicated enough to challenge even those who are very used to drawing and painting. And this is something that I use all the time. If you have followed me on Instagram or Facebook, you will see that I use ink and cocktail stick quite a bit, and that most recently I took it out to Kinban Castle and created a drawing there of the castle itself, because I think there's something really lovely about the struggle with the cocktail stick in creating something, but also it has lovely lines and you can get such nice darks beside the stark lights. Beautiful. Now, this little lime I'm going to place up in here. There's ink running down my cocktail stick. Swipe it off. I haven't even got to the flowers yet. And if so much ink comes, or too much ink comes off, don't worry, just move it about and make it work to your advantage. I'm going to put the center into, you know, that we divide between the segments. I'm not going to worry too much about exactly how many segments there are. I spent a lot of my school time in art class trying to create really accurate drawings. So I think now that I am much older, I've got past really feeling the need that everything has to be accurate. I am really just trying to give a sense of what's in front of me. And I, to be honest, find it very stressful, really concentrating on intense detail. I am much more relaxed and find much more joy in creating when I am loose with my work and hinting at what's there rather than really being bogged down on what's actually there. And there's nothing wrong with either. They're completely different. But again, it's what I'm saying. Find what suits your personality and what brings you joy. If you choose this as your career, then you need to find a way to really love it and not stress out every time you come in to create something. So I'll maybe show you a close-up of this afterwards, just in case it's not all that clear, but my segments are there. Now this one here, it's not quite right. There's a fold of material coming around there. What you can see is how it is building up. Now normally I would take no more than 15 minutes at this. No idea what time we are currently on, I'm going to set in the background here. Okay, this line here where it's sitting. Now, the other side is slightly different because we have a handle. I'm looking at where the angle is coming up. And again, don't worry if it's not exactly right. Now, if it's running in here, it's going to run out the other side the same way. Okay, it's going to run on a line. Okay, so I think I can't leave the details out here. That just looks like a bit of a wobbly egg. So I need to make sure that I'm giving enough information that that is a line. Now, again, I mightn't have to add in all of the segments. Can I just get away with putting a few little lines in? Oh, there's a lot of ink in that one. Just use it to our advantage. No colour. Sometimes that's nice, just to get a feel of something without putting the colour on, that you're understanding the shape that you're trying to create in paint. Now, there's lots of really intense darks in there. I'm going to add them in before I start to add the flowers. Now, there's also, see, this is a linen material, linen tablecloth actually, but it has a nice feel to it, and I don't iron. I feel like life's too short for that, so it's quite wrinkly. So I'm wanting to add a little bit of that texture in, but can you see how that is different? Where I am starting to drag it across. I'm not going to do it all over the place because that'll be too much information to make everything confused, but I am going to add in little bits behind by dragging them down. I think that's enough. Okay, now my window is here, so the light is coming here. Most of the shadow is this direction, so I need to make sure that I am noting that in. Okay, I've got it in here. I need to give my lime a shadow too. Now, I'm going to put in some of the flowers now. I didn't finish that, did I? I got distracted. Okay, let's go for the daisies. First I'm going to do this one. This one. I'm going to put this one in, I think. So this one is down here. Now, I'm not going to go gung-ho like I did the first time. Be very careful about sizing. I'm building it up with tiny little marks. It is made up of the smallest little points, almost like little circles. And again, there's shadow on this side. So I'm going to get that in. Now, if you have managed to find these videos, these tutorials, please follow along. And if you know anybody else who is creative, even teachers in schools that you feel could use them, please pass on the information. That's why I am recording them, so that people can learn a little but feel confident enough to give it a go without worrying about it being a perfect piece. Just having a little bit of fun, because there's nothing better than just messing and then walking away from it. It can be a relief in your day to forget about stresses of work, family, or anything else. And for young people who are in school as well, who are maybe stressing out about ticking all the boxes to get the grades, given these little alternative activities can spark creativity and encourage a little to think outside the box, but it also will benefit and inform their practice. And that's what I'm all about. when I was a teacher a long time ago in a classroom. That was my aim in my lessons, that the pupil wouldn't go out thinking that they couldn't draw the same as the art history references we were looking at, or they couldn't create as well as the person beside them, but that they had the confidence to give it a go, and that they would navigate the art room in a way that they would find what it is that works best for them, their medium and their way of creating. Now, this is a bit more spiky than I would really like. I would like it to be softer, but it's the nature of the cocktail stick and my handling of it. So maybe my next daisy, what I can do is try to refine that mark a wee bit. I could also wet the tip of an index finger and run it across, and maybe I will do that at the end. Okay. We have this other daisy is running off a very bendy stem. And these flowers have come out of my garden, so they wouldn't be the most pristine of gardeners either. So a lot of the daisies probably needed cut back, and the wind's got them, so they are very bent and windy in their stem, but lovely nonetheless. I'm going to try and make this one a little more round. Look at the overlap of the stem again. You can't see where I'm looking, but most of my time I am actually looking here and not concentrating on what my hand is doing. Another really helpful activity is blind contour drawing, and I would do that quite a lot as well, where you do not look at all at your page whilst you're drawing, but you continually stare at your subject and just draw on the page using a single line without lifting it, to see if you can get the shape without controlling it with your eye on the page. That's maybe as clear as mud. Maybe I should do a demonstration on that too. Okay. This is the one that has sort of, now look at the state of my fingers to get to this stage. But continue on, do you no harm, wash off. Need some darks in here so you can really see the daisy. Think about the direction you're trailing, so you just don't have to draw in one way with the point. So you start to treat it like a pencil, and suddenly becomes another tool for us to get really tight with. But trail it and move it, put pressure on it in different ways. Roll it, okay? Drop it, see what happens. Okay, now, I said I wanted to do this other daisy up here, so I'm going to place it in, do the wee, maybe leave it different. I'm just going to not so much concentrate on the texture that's in it, just really the shape, make it a bit more cone-like at the top. Now this one is different in that it's not facing me face on, with the yellow in the middle and the petals out round, but it's away from me, so these petals are folding down. So slightly different form. I don't want to just draw what I've drawn before. I'm looking. So this one, they're falling away. They're falling down. They're overlapping. They just don't sit singly. You think carefully about the direction. I can still see the petals. That flower is still the same shape. It's just because it's sitting in a different direction. There's still petals at the other side. But because they are away from me, they're in the distance, they will appear shorter and stubbier. Okay. So they're there. They're still in there. They're away. Put in some of these big bits of grass in behind just to give some height. I don't mind things running off the page. I know there's lots of people who like to contain them. I just don't care. I mean, you have seen the state of my hair. It's out of control, so it's generally just the way I go. I like everything just to be a little bit wild. Now, constantly asking myself the whole time, where's this going? And because I won't get it all in, I have to think about that. Now, the jug has to have dark and light on it. It can't just exist as this white thing. So I'm going to trail across, bring the shadow down. Now, it depends on your personality as well. You could methodically work from left to right or from bottom to top. I just like to feel my way, and that is absolutely fine. Again, just find a way that suits you best. I'm going to put a leaf in here. I'm always thinking about what makes this composition interesting. If I just plop it in the middle, is that going to make me happy? No, probably not. What I want is for my eye to travel. So I am starting here. I have taken these folds of the fabric, and what they are doing is they're helping my eye travel up and round. Now, do I want to travel off this way? No, probably I want to meander up and through and head off there, just because I want to. Okay, so you want your eye to travel nicely around, but not just get stuck in one wee place. You want it to move so that you're able to take in and appreciate everything that you have made. Now, where will I go now? I'm going to go for one of these wee flowers. I think they're quite interesting. They sort of, I don't know what they look like, some sort of seahorse. Maybe they don't, maybe that's just me. Now, get those wee bits in. Very different shapes to what I have drawn already. Then these flowers, now it's complicated. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on there. Not sure I'm going to add that many in, but I'm going to hint at what's there, but maybe draw with a little more detail too of them. Okay, I haven't lifted my cocktail stick off this stage, just trying to feel my way around that little flower. Then the little insides, sepal, stamen. I'm saying those words and I think I know which ones are which, but probably should have listened better in Mr. Williams' biology classes. And I'm thinking not about art and trying to think about my other science teachers' names. Mr. Scott and Miss Ray, I think. But if anybody went to Armagh Royal, correct me if I have got them wrong and I've just made up my teachers. Now, let me see. I think I'm happy with sort of, I'm going to put in the same marks in here. Also, you'll see I'm just literally putting in little lines there, not getting too excitable about detail. Now what I can see here is my jug should be ever so slightly taller, but again, it's all learning as we go. So when I go to paint that, I'll be more careful of proportion. Okay, so that should be slightly longer or narrower, or I could just fix it here by taking that line down. See? There we go. That's that done. Now, where will I go from here? Quite interested in this looping again. but I want to leave it quite loose. I'm not even sure I want to draw on both sides of it. I'm just going to hint that it is there, but this time that there's a shadow, and it's because the light again is coming from here, the shadow was always going to fall on the right hand side. I don't want to lose that daisy. We also have lots of flowers in here, so a blank area here. Create, I'm going to put a nice leaf up in there. And get up to the top. Making sure that your stems are always going into your jug, but they're not just standing either. Just working at it until you are content and happy. And a few wee leaves in. I'm still looking at what's here. Now, I might actually add in a few wee shapes of flowers, but not worry too much about where their stems or anything are. Because again, all I'm doing is giving whoever is viewing it enough information that they know that it is a fairly wild bouquet of flowers sitting in a little vase. Now, I think I would like to add in something up here. Right, this poker flower's a wee bit rare. I'll put in there. And maybe the fern up in behind there. Fern has lovely, like almost crisscross as it goes out. Hopefully it is starting to make sense to you. Maybe it's not. Sometimes I forget that what everybody says is completely different and your interpretation is completely different. So what I see as something, I'm saying like, yes, that really looks like that thing. Now you're thinking, way on with you. I think these are my favourites. I do love painting, but especially when I am teaching classes, I think these are special. What people make, these very simple line drawings using varying techniques. I'll put that leaf down in there. I feel like there's something missing here. I think there we go. I think after I make those there perhaps a little clearer, put a little bit of shadow. That's part of my daisy. I think I am done. See how simple that was? Hold on, will I show you a close up? Okay. Simple line, drawn with a cocktail stick, looking at scoring, drawing, dragging, concentrating on where the light and the dark is, but still giving you a sense of what's going on, and both of them together. Now we're ready to start to paint.